Yeah, so I'm sure you've heard some stories of what people how they did after they took your product.
Yeah, so we're collecting that data now, and I've
Yeah.
had great feedback, and I look forward to having more formal questionnaires in the future that can really show the benefit
Right.
outside of just like me raving about it and saying everyone says it's great, but
Well, we've heard from our office manager.
Yeah.
She had some kind of a histamine reaction, redness of skin, and
Right.
that really helped calm that down.
So she's an example of someone who doesn't have silicone devices, but when I was talking to her about what the formula did, she resonated with a lot of the things. So again, we're talking about exposures to chemicals, which a lot of people are getting, right? Whether they have silicone devices in their body or they're getting it from, the LA air or the myriad of places that we can get exposed now, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think would be a good segue into talking about my favorite topic, which is regeneration, right?
Yes.
After exposures, because we're talking about, supporting the body, but what happens when you need more than support? What happens when you need to regenerate? And that's where you come in.
Yeah, so you have come to our clinic for some regeneration.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about, stem cells and exosomes, to help you, I guess, achieve a better state?
Yeah, so I was really just blown away. Like the first time we did stem cells, I had no idea that they were going to be so powerful, and I was, to be honest, skeptical. And I think even when I interviewed you in 2019 or 20, no, it was 20, I think, I was reverberating some of the kind of criticisms I'd heard about stem cell therapy, and you were talking about those things really articulately. And I was, I had heard things and listened to podcasts and heard about the bad players, right? And so when we finally came around, and, to be honest, like stem cell therapy is expensive. So when people go out on a limb to pay for an expensive therapy and then they're like not sure, right? That's hard to mitigate. So every time I talk about your work, I'm always saying like her supply chain, it's on like completely managed. Like you have everything from like the infancy in the lab, and like you're just completely in control of the process with that like integrity and, understanding of the quality. So that's so great, right?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the regenerative medicine field, I think, a lot of people, the public may not know because there's so much money involved. So every actor is coming in. It's like a fly,
Right.
they all want a piece. And so many of the people who are in the field are really paying attention to the profit. That's number one above anything else. And the efficacy and the science comes way below. So whatever people can do to maximize the profit, that's what they were doing. And then when I discovered that's what's going on, that's when I decided, okay, I have to be on the business side of this so that I can, really have control of the quality of the product.
And set a standard.
Right, and also use the science. And because, there are all this research that's been going around all around the world. And why can't we take, pieces of what we know that really work and put them all together? So that's kind of what I did. So the supporting the immune system, reducing the autoimmune reactions, and even helping tissue heal, even breaking down excess scar tissue, right? And
Right.
then building new healthy tissue. So that's all part of what the mesenchymal stem cells can do.
Right, and I think one of the stories you told me before I did stem cells that helped me feel so confident and excited was you talked about your liver cirrhosis patient who experienced like this tremendous like liver recovery after one infusion, right? And I don't know how many cc's it was. Was it a lot? Or?
2 cc's.
Really?
It was not very much. He's not a big guy, but it was a very low amount. And my protocol at the time was that he was supposed to come back in 2 weeks to get the second one, and he just never showed up. And I didn't know what happened to him until a couple months later. His brother, who paid for the treatment, told me that he is completely normal, running around like a normal person, and
Wow.
then got his lab tested, and his liver was normal. This is somebody that was in hospice, so he was in deathbed, really.
Wow.
So to me, that was miraculous, and it doesn't happen every day, but when it happens, that really gives you a sense of the power of these cells.
Absolutely. And so when I was thinking about the application for myself as someone with chronic toxicity, and that's like a common thing among breast implant illness patients, I know that you could regenerate me back to being like a fetus, and I would still be sick if I was toxic, right? Toxicity is still I could be a 10-year-old, and if I have this high exposure to toxic chemicals, I'm still going to be dealing with those things. Like, stem cells do not in themselves detox your body. However, I know personally that my organs of detox have suffered over the years. You know, they've been trying to move this stuff out, and you know, they have aged in that process. So rejuvenating my liver is going to make that a better liver to continue to eliminate. And I think that's exactly what I saw. Like, I saw an increase in vitality and an increase in a youth feeling and energy. And then that was sort of followed by, unfortunately or fortunately, like another kind of onslaught of detox. So it's almost like the body is like, great, you can handle even more. Like, we're going to mobilize even more out of tissue. And this is the story of my life. Like, I'll have a really great day followed by a really bad, you know, that's just how it happens, right? It's just, our bodies are really smart, and they know what you can handle. But yeah, so I'm excited to work more with stem cells. I'm glad I, you know, did it later in the process after detoxing more, and like, it's a huge tool. Like, I think it's like a cornerstone tool.
Yeah, I call it the engine for the body. So the body is like a vehicle, a car, and you need really pristine, good, high-powered engine to get you to where you want to go. But, you know, a lot of people are putting everything they could, you know, all the vitamins, all the, you know, minerals, and all, you know, light therapy. But if the engine is barely going, right, it's running down. Because as we get older, the number of stem cells and their potency have decreased drastically. So then the engine is, you know, is not really keeping up. So if you want this to be a powerful Ferrari and to really take you, you know, places and, you know, with high speed and for a long time, then you need to upgrade your engine. So I think that's what's missing in a lot of the functional medicine, you know, until stem cells came along, because it can revamp your engine. So there are a lot of things we can do which are all important, and I'm a big fan of all these biohacking you know, methods. But you've got to address the engine and the fuel. So everything else we're doing, I feel like, are the fuel to help the engine to function better.
And like, could you speak a little bit about the senescent cells and stem cells and how they interact?
Well, the senescent cells, so as we get older, you know, we accumulate these old cells that are just not functioning very well. So stem cells actually, they are able to detect. So not only they boost your immune system, which will help you,
like the NK cells, that will kill the senescent.
Exactly, will help you get rid of senescent cells. But if a cell is not functioning well and they're too old, the stem cells have a way of detecting this is a cell that doesn't belong. So just like pre-cancer cells, so they can detect cells that are not functioning optimally, and they're able to send signals to send these cells onto a death path, and then they can be gone, and then the new cells can come along, because as long as they're occupying the physical space and they're not doing their job, there's a Chinese saying that's really funny. I'm not going to say it because
say it.
They said you're sitting on the toilet, but you're not, you know, you're not producing anything.
Yeah. There's an American saying like
really?
that too. Yeah. I'm not going to say it. It's very vulgar, but people probably know.
Right. So these senescent cells are like those, you know, folks that are just sitting on this spot that's not doing anything. You got to get rid of them so your body can regenerate, you know.
And they're not, it's not that they're not even doing anything. I think they're actually communicating bad messages.
That's true.
So they're kind of
like
sending
out toxic signals.
Yeah, so they're kind of throwing a wrench in the telephone game that's being played as the cells are being born and trying to live to their full potential, and they're giving them kind of a bad blueprint, right?
Exactly. That's a danger of the senescent
And that's
cells.
aging. That's what aging is. That's why we don't look the way we looked, you know, years before.
Yeah.
Some of us. Well, you do, but some of us.